Charles was sitting in his room after classes finishing some homework when he heard a knock on his door. He got up and opened it and saw his friend Stan waiting nervously outside. Stan was much taller and muscular than he was and played for the school's lacrosse team. Even though they were both 18 and seniors, Charles was much shorter and thinner and had to look up when he talked to his friend. "Hey man," Charles said, "what's wrong? You look nervous." "There's something I want to ask you," Stan said, "but I feel weird doing it." "Just ask," Charles said. "Okay," Stan said hesitantly, "will you be my prom date?" Charles stood silently. He had heard about the all-boy prom from his father, who had also attended the school. While he hadn't planned to go, he felt bad declining his friend. He knew that given their size difference he would end up playing the girl. The previous year he went on vacation that weekend, so he was able to skip the prom, but this year his parents were out of the country on business, so he was stuck. "Fine," Charles said, knowing it would be easier to go with a friend than with someone he didn't know very well. "Thanks man," Stan said, "I owe you one." Things went on as usual between them in the next couple weeks. Around campus they would see other boys asking each other to the prom and were glad that they had gotten that out of the way. One day, a woman came in and posted a bulletin instructing all the boys who would be playing girls to come to a training session. Charles went to the room and sat down. Once everyone arrived, their measurements were taken and they were given catalogs of prom dresses. Charles, being stuck with what was left, picked out a black sequin dress with an open back that was floor-length with a slit that came to pretty high up the thigh. While he'd hoped to get something less sexy, the other boys had all picked before him and only the sexier dresses were left. Over the next few sessions, they were given lessons in acting, talking, dancing, dressing, eating, sitting, and doing everything as a teenage girl. Eventually they were each given full makeovers to practice what they had learned as females. Charles felt strange seeing himself fully dressed. With his long brown hair, made-up face, painted nails, thin figure, realistic breasts, tucked penis, and now hairless skin, all he saw was a pretty girl staring back at him. The girl was wearing a short dress that was much shorter than the dress he'd be wearing to prom, and a pair of high heels. While he wasn't the only boy who looked like a real girl, he was by far the hottest. Once all of the boys had been transformed, they were led to a lounge to meet their dates as girls for the first time. They were each given a name tag to wear with their temporary female names, and Charles wrote Charlene on his. The girls entered the lounge and all the boys' eyes were immediately on them. Charlene felt nervous being checked out by all the boys and quickly made her way to Stan. When she got to Stan, she smiled nervously as he looked her over. "Wow," Stan said, "you look incredible." "Thank you," Charlene said, "I feel a little strange like this though." "Just relax," Stan said, "you are the prettiest girl here. Just enjoy being a female the next 2 days and then you can go back to being Charlie." Charlene relaxed a little and Stan got each of them some lemonade. They sat down on a couch and began to talk. As they sat, Charlene crossed her legs and would occasionally touch her knee and thigh as they talked. She loved how nice her soft hairless skin felt and was enjoying touching it. Stan noticed how nice her long legs looked and asked if he could touch. Charlene reluctantly said yes and felt a tingle as Stan gently touched her thigh. When he stopped, Charlene relaxed and they continued talking. At the end of the night, each of the girls was given a small bag of items for that night and the next day so they could remain in their female personas until the dance. Stan escorted Charlene back to her room and said good night. He gave her a kiss on the cheek, then went to his room across the hall. Charlene went in her room and locked the door. She opened the bag and found some casual clothes, underwear, a pajama set, makeup, and makeup remover. She went to the bathroom and removed her makeup and changed into the PJ set, which consisted of a tank top and short shorts. She put away everything she had taken off and signed on to Facebook. An album had been posted with photos from the event, and she had been tagged in a few of the pictures. She looked through the photos for a few minutes and noticed how natural she seemed as a girl. Since most of her Facebook friends were also students at the school, she temporarily changed her profile picture to one of her as Charlene. She then signed off and went to bed. Charlene woke up the next morning and got out of bed. After going to the bathroom and brushing her teeth, she went to the door and looked around to make sure the hallway was clear. After making sure it was clear, she went to the kitchen area she shared with the other boys on the floor and got out a small bottle of orange juice from the fridge, poured herself a bowl of cereal, and went back to her room. While she knew everyone had seen her as Charlene at last night's event or in the Facebook album, she was still not used to walking around as a woman. She sat down and ate her breakfast while she checked the comments on the photos from last night. After finishing her breakfast, she took a shower and got dressed in the clothes that had been packed for her. She put on a bra and matching bikini panties, a short pleated skirt, a white blouse, and a pair of heels. After fixing her hair and doing her makeup, she grabbed her purse and left her room. She went downstairs and saw some of the other boys who were going to the prom as girls wearing outfits similar to hers. Some of them smiled at her and she smiled back. Since it was Saturday and there were no classes, she had the rest of the day to spend as a female. As she walked around the campus, she noticed some were walking around holding hands like couples to get ready for the prom. Charlene went outside to the shops and restaurant plaza and walked around. Since the campus was far from any large cities or towns, an outdoor shopping plaza was built next to the campus for the students. The plaza had a movie theater, restaurants and cafes, a market, a home goods store, an office supply store, an electronics store, a barber, and several shoe and clothing stores. While most of the shoe and clothing stores only sold male clothes and shoes, in the weeks before prom a few places opened temporarily for the boys who would be girls that weekend. Charlene went to the end of the plaza where she found a beauty salon, a women's shoe store, and a women's clothing store. Having nothing else to do, she went inside the clothing store and looked around. The woman running the store was the one who had transformed the boys into girls for the prom, and she recognized Charlene right away. "Hello, Charlene," she said as Charlene entered the store. "You are looking very beautiful." "Thank you, ma'am," Charlene said shyly. "No need to be shy, dear," the woman said. "You make a wonderful young woman. In fact, there are some outfits here that I think you would look gorgeous in. Would you like to try some on?" Charlene agreed and the woman showed her around the store. There were sections with skirts, dresses, jeans, shorts, tops, athletic wear, swimwear, underwear, lingerie, sleepwear, and accessories. Charlene tried some items on and the woman complimented her on how good she looked. She picked out a few items and a pair of shoes from the shoe store and paid the woman. As her family was wealthy, she was often sent large checks from her father. She thanked the woman and took the items back to her room. She changed into a short strapless summer dress that ended at mid-thigh and a pair of wedged platform heels. She knew she had nice legs and was beginning to feel more comfortable showing them off. She packed the new purse she bought with her phone, wallet, makeup, and a few other items and went down the hall to find Stan. After looking around for a while, she found Stan in the kitchen alone. He was warming up something in the microwave and smiled when he saw her. Stan complimented her on how she looked and asked her if she wanted to spend the day hanging out. Charlene agreed and they went down to the plaza. They first stopped to get something to eat at one of the cafes. Looking around, Charlene noticed several other couples sitting in the cafe or walking around together. After lunch they went to a few stores then saw a movie. During the movie, Stan put his arm around Charlene and Charlene rested her head on his shoulder. While Stan found Charlene quite attractive, he also knew it was really his friend Charlie and he didn't want to do anything that would make her feel uncomfortable or ruin their friendship. It was difficult going to an all-boys boarding school since they only got to see girls when they went home for the summer or for holidays. This was the closest Stan had been to a girl in a long time, even though Charlene wasn't a real girl. After the movie, they returned to the campus. Charlene went to the room to get her hair, makeup, and nails done and to change into her prom dress. When she was finally ready, she went to see her reflection and was shocked at how hot she looked. She was a little disappointed that the girl staring back wasn't real, as she definitely found her attractive. When all the girls were ready, they posed for pictures together. After taking several pictures, they all went to the lobby to the hall where the prom was being held and looked for their dates. Charlene found Stan and he placed a corsage on her wrist. They posed for their prom photo, then he took her arm in his and escorted her into the hall. They found their seats and Stan pulled the chair out for Charlene to sit down. They took a few pictures then ate their dinners. After talking for a while with some of the other couples, people began to get up and dance. Stan stood up and asked Charlene to dance. She took his hand and they went out to the dance floor. While they felt uncomfortable dancing with each other at first, they soon began to have fun and even danced a few slow dances together. As the night went on, they each also danced with some other people, but would always return to each other. At the end of the prom, they were announced as prom king and queen and shared a spotlight dance together. While Charlene was apprehensive about going at first, she had to admit she had a good time. After prom, Stan took Charlene to her room upstairs. She thanked him for a fun night and they said their good nights. Stan gave her another kiss on the cheek and began to walk to his room. Charlene stood watching him as he walked down the hall.